Welcome back to Fighting with Friends. It's your boy, Brother Gaia, back again with another preview of UFC 323. It is Merab Dvalishvili taking on Petr for the second time, as well as Alexander Pantoja taking on Joshua Van for the flyweight strap. This is UFC 323 preview and predictions. We are going to be live for this fight card, which will be the 7th of December, the Sunday. Fight card starts from 1 a.m. South African time, whereas the main card will start at 5 a.m. South African time. So check your local listings for that. Before I get into the preview and predictions, please drop a like, share, and subscribe. Get involved in the banter. Drop your comments. Please drop your comments. I see we got some of the guys chatting on our previous video. I will be dropping the parlay for the One Championship Fight Night 38 in the comment section as well. And then I will release it as some of you guys has been DMing me on Instagram. I'll give you guys some of the picks there as well. At 80, what we'll be doing our lives this weekend, we'll also revisit all those parlay picks, UFC and one. So stick around for that. I also will be going over my picks and parlay at the end of the episode, where I will bring it up on screen and just revisit my picks for the card at the end of all my predictions, just to make sure I'm correct. But okay, as always, we will start at the top of the card, people. This fight card will be taking place at T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, USA. Like I said earlier, fun fight card. This is gonna be a banger. I'm gonna start with the main event. We see Merab Dvalishvili taking on Petr, and this is going to be a rematch for the bantamweight title. Big fight card, big main event. It is a big rematch. A lot of people are saying it's going to be a foregone conclusion already. Merab's going to beat him again. It's a very strong argument to go against, to be honest with you. Merab is such a difficult guy to beat, difficult guy to break down to see how to beat him because he's such a well-rounded athlete. And so, as well as even noticed Merab's last couple of performances, he has leveled up his boxing quite tremendously. So he's becoming a very much an undefeatable kind of fighter, right? He has lost in his career before. Since being in the UFC, I think he only had one loss, if I'm not mistaken, or two. I think one loss. I think that was a Drew Dober fight. I don't remember now correctly, but he had one loss, and just like it wasn't Drew Dober. Who was it now again? Anyway, he came back from that and went on a massive tear, and arguably could have been a champion long before this. But obviously, as long as what's his name? Aljamain Sterling was in the division, it kind of held him back. But okay, he eventually got the title, and he beat Petr. That was the fight where he broke the records for most number of takedowns in a single fight, and I think in a title fight as well. So yeah, just Merab doing big things. Let me give you some numbers on the two athletes before I continue breaking down the X's and O's. Merab Dvalishvili is 34 years old. He's the current bantamweight champion. He's number 3 pound for pound in the UFC right now. Record 21 wins, 4 losses, 0 no contests. He's got 14 fight win streak, 3 wins by KO, 2 wins by sub, and he beat Cody the Sandman Sandhagen by unanimous decision in his last fight. Petr, on the other hand, he's 32 years old. He's number 3 ranked bantamweight and former bantamweight champion. His record is 19 wins, 5 losses, 0 no contests, 7 wins by KO, 1 win by sub, and 3 first-round finishes. He's on a 3-fight winning streak, beating Marcus McGee by unanimous decision in his last fight. All right, so what are we going to see? I think the biggest question mark for this fight, and I think for a lot of audiences or fans, is what is Petr going to be doing differently to win this fight? I think there's a large portion of the fan base that actually wants to see Petr win this fight. But at the same time, it's difficult to kind of see that. Like, I want to see Petr win, right? I really do. I want him to win this fight so badly. I'm a big fan of him. I like his fight style. I like his vibe. I think he's a beast in there in the bantamweight division. Arguably one of the best guys in the division outside of Merab, if you really think about it. I'm surprised they didn't give Petr Umar Magomedov, but okay, they're kind of protecting Magomedov so that he can come back into a title run. Petr is like, what is he going to do differently in this fight? We know that he's a fantastic Muay Thai practitioner, good kickboxer, beautiful striker. Devastating striking, actually. But at the same time, we also know that Merab can take him down at will at any point. Merab could put Petr in a false sense of security and make him believe that we're going to strike the whole time, but then take him down, literally in the middle. Although a lot of Merab's takedowns are usually up against the cage rather than outside in the open of the octagon, which is something to take note of. I think for any fighter that's going to fight Merab, just remember that a lot of these takedowns is gonna be once your back is up against the cage, or you use at least when you're close to the cage, you're shooting on you. Out in the open, it's a lot of boxing, a lot of a lot of boxing, a lot of kickboxing situations, but a lot of pressure from Merab at the same time. And you also know that after round 3 is when he actually puts the pace on you. So you can kind of bag 2 rounds against him if you fight really smart. You can get that first 2 rounds. Petr, I think he's gonna have to fight the fight a little bit more aggressive than what he did the first time. Not be so respectful of Merab's grappling. In fact, what will be really cool is to see one thing I have a trouble seeing over the last say 5-6 years. Whenever I'm watching these heavy combat sambo wrestling based fighters, is they don't get shot on. Fighters don't shoot on them. Even really world class wrestling based fighters don't shoot on them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember Triple C shooting a takedown on Merab when they fought each other. Merab was taking him down all the time. Same with Khamzat, same with Islam, same with Umar Nurmagomedov. A lot of these guys, the only guy that took Umar Nurmagomedov on, or at least outside Merab, that wrestled with him quite aggressively was the last fight that he had against. Who did he fight last? No, I'm confusing names. It's not Umar Nurmagomedov. It was dude that fought against Kyoji Horiguchi the week before. And that was someone who actually shot takedowns on them and made them back up and make them get tired. And it's like something you never see, and it's so strange. And I think even if Petr doesn't really tap Merab out in any way, shape, or form, but the fact that if he can initiate some kind of grappling with him, whether it's going to be takedowns, clinching, even just Muay Thai tosses, if you will, like throws and things like that, he may not be successful with it, but the sheer fact of presenting that to Merab will kind of change a little bit of the fight style. Like Merab will probably predict, okay, Peter's gotten a lot better. It's a bit trickier with these takedowns, but primarily he's going to want to strike with me, right? So Merab knows that. So he knows he can deal with that. He knows what to do with deal with that. But if Petr comes in there and actually shoots some takedowns on him, or get into some clinching positions, or puts pressure on Merab, right? It's a different ballgame. What I'm trying to say is that no one puts these European-based wrestlers, Dagestani wrestlers, or combat sambo specialists, no one's putting them in defensive positions. And whenever I see it happening in one championship, for example, when I see these kind of fighters in MMA get put on the back foot, then you start to see some tendencies come out of them, right? You start to see some panic wrestling, some over-aggression for wrestling, because they don't want to be on the feet anymore. Maybe they're realizing I'm a bit matched here on the feet. And grappling-wise, it's a little bit similar. So we're just going to get to the ground and control. And for me, that's the default setting for these kind of wrestlers. That's their default and safe haven. That's where they want to be when they're in a little bit of trouble. I feel like that's what you actually want to do to these guys. You want to force them to wrestle. You don't want to make them wrestle when they are comfortable. You want to make them wrestle when they are uncomfortable. Because then it's telegraphed. You can pick up the shots. They're going to put a lot of effort into the wrestling. They're going to tire themselves out to get there. And they're going to kind of abandon the game plan. And that's when you can start picking them apart and piecing them up. Because now they kind of chuck the game plan out the window. They just know for a fact now, oh, fuck, I can't stand with this guy anymore. He's going to put me away. And grappling-wise, I'm spending a lot of energy to actually contain him. It's like I only got so many rounds left. So the more I'm going to shoot, the less chances I'm going to get knocked out. The more chances it's going to be a little bit even on the ground. And I think that's actually where you need to put these Merab-like kind of fighters in. Don't try and box with them. They'll just shoot at you whenever you get comfortable, right? If you're going to strike with him, it needs to be a bit more methodical than that. It needs to be very specific types of how's that saying that? Yes. It needs to be very specific types of striking. So it's like you need to damage certain weapons, calves, body. Don't headhunt those kind of fighters. You would take out the basis of them. They're going to be a little bit easier for you to read. Look, it's a lot easier said than done. Truthfully, it's a very much easier thing to kind of break down, right? But I expect these professional fighters to be able to do that. I'm sure coaches of Merab's will be able, and Petr will be able to dissect all of this very accurately, and then learn the fighters how to execute them. So I expect Petr to do some kind of fight style that's going to level up his game. However, I still got Merab for the win, purely because Merab can strike. And his type of striking is the kind of striking that can make people like Petr be uncomfortable, not necessarily to be knocked out, but to defend. He's going to have to go back up, defend, and then boom, there's a shot on you. I must defend the takedown. And the more Merab does this, which is what he does every single fight, he revs it up, increases the numbers of takedowns, and what it does to you is it makes you defend consistently. And that way, you just can't win the fight because you have to defend takedowns and strikes every single time. Even the strikes are not going to hurt you, but they're going to force you to back up and it's going to force you to defend something. And that's what Merab does. Probably the best in the UFC right now. He's probably the best at that. And I don't know how Petr Yan gets away from that. Oh, there could be a moment in the fight where Petr Yan throws a Hail Mary, spinning back kick, elbow, or uppercut of some sort. Actually clips Merab. I do think he's the more superior striker and harder hitter between the two guys. So I think if Petr Yan attacks the calves, keeps the high guard, gets the leaps away, be very selective with what targets he's going for, he could actually get Merab in some sticky situations. But if Merab fights the way that he normally fights all the time, which is high pressure, high pressure, high pressure, fighters are going to fall to that pressure and it's going to give him the opportunity to take you down and put you up every single time. And he might be able to submit Petr Yan as well. But I got Merab for the win because I just find that there are more avenues to his game where he can win this fight. Whereas Petr Yan, I think that there's not many opportunities for him to win this fight. Like he can't take it to different. Like he can't take Merab down and control him and then switch, go from back control. Like switch and transition to different takedown positions or different grappling positions. I don't believe he can do that. I think he can take Merab down with like a sneaky, sweep or sneaky double leg or the way he does those things or those trips that he normally does, those Muay Thai trips. He can sneak that in there, but I don't think that will lead to him finishing the fight like on the ground, for example. I think out in the boxing conversations, good takedown defense, lots of movement. I think it gives him a chance, gives him a fair chance. But Dvalishvili is going to be and break the records again for the most title defenses in a single year. And yeah, Merab is going to be the guy that's going to go down. Is probably going to be like UFC's fighter of the year. Give me your thoughts in the comments, chat, please. Let me know what you guys think about that main event. Who you think is going to win and how. And yeah, we'll continue that banter as per usual. Keep it moving. Right. All right. Up next, we have a co-main event, flyweight Muay. Excuse me. So used to one championship, flyweight MMA. I don't know why I'm saying MMA because only MMA. Yeah. Flyweight title bout between Alexander Pantoja, arguably the GOAT of the flyweight division, next to Mighty Mouse, taking on Joshua Van from Myanmar. Absolute beast. This is going to be a crazy fight. I'm still a little bit skeptical of Joshua Van in the sense that I don't think he actually won that last fight, but we're here now, and I think what UFC was prioritizing was a fresh opponent for Alexander Pantoja, considering that he's already beaten top 5 outside of Tatsuro Taira, Albazi. Who else is there? Everyone else he pretty much beaten at least twice. So I get it. I'm in the camp of doesn't matter to me. The best should fight the best. That means Pantoja must fight Moreno again. Then they must fight Moreno again. That's just how the world works. That's just how it is. Because simply by going, we've seen them fight already, it doesn't matter. It's like any other sport we see teams play each other every single time, every year. You know what I mean? You don't get bored of it. It's just that, you just have to. Things it just works that way. If Pantoja, Royval and Moreno and these guys stay top 2, top 3 every single time, then you can't ignore it. You have to fight them. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion, and you're welcome to disagree. But in my opinion, when the competition level is that close, they should be fighting consistently. You shouldn't just bypass because you've beaten them twice already. And also, if you think about Pantoja's fights, when I watched these fights, right, Moreno's the only guy that actually put him in deep waters every single time they fought each other. Everyone else he walked right through pretty easily. Moreno and Royval are the only guys that's made it a bit sticky for him. But anyway, let me give you some numbers before I break down my X's and O's. Pantoja is 35 years old, current flyweight champion, ranked number 5 on the pound-for-pound list. His record is 30 wins, staggering. It's massive. 5 losses, 0 no contests, 8 wins by KO, 12 wins by sub, 10 first-round finishes. Beat Kai Kara France by third-round sub in his last fight. Joshua Van, 24 years old, is number 1 ranked in the flyweight division right now. His record currently stands at 15 wins, 2 losses, 0 no contest, 7 wins by KO, 2 wins by sub, 2 first-round finishes. He beat Brandon Royval by unanimous decision in his last fight. They now booked his ticket into a to the biggest fight of his career right now against probably one of the most toughest fights he'll ever experience. Who do I think's gonna win here? I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I got Pantoja for the win. I think his levels on Joshua Van. I think Joshua Van maybe 2 years from now we'll get onto that level, or a year from now I'll get into that level. I still think he's very young. I think that he needs to go through a lot more competition. I know he beat Royval, which is arguably like his biggest fight of his career. That boosted him to this title shot. But I still think that there's a list of fighters in that division where I don't know if he beats those fighters. We have to see him go through that list first. And I feel like why I'm saying this is because only if he goes through this list of fighters, I can say, okay, he's leveled up enough to beat someone like Pantoja. So what I'm saying was, if he had gone through, he's beaten Royval, if he had gone through Tatsuya Taira, Manal Cup, Brandon Moreno, right, he's beaten those guys, for example, I would then go and say, okay, you've got the stuff. Because now you've got enough experience against the best guys in your division. You fought one of the best guys, arguably lost that fight, and then got the title shot. Now he's on top. In my opinion, it's a bit of a skip. It's a bit of a disservice to Joshua Van because he could have been a much better athlete and fighter than what he is now in terms of taking on the top 5 and then getting the champion. You know what I'm saying? But look, they must still throw down, and Joshua Van does have position of power. He's got dynamite in those hands. He's got fantastic speedy boxing, fantastic takedown defense. Just a durable athlete. One thing I will say is that Brandon Royval did not test his grappling enough for me to go, but he does have good grappling defense for the most part, but no one like Pantoja as he fought yet. So I think Joshua Van, the game plan is very simple. Be very, very, stubborn in the sense of not giving Pantoja any grappling exchanges. Don't let him clinch with you. Don't let him take you down. Right? Box very fundamentally well. Work off your jab a lot of the times. Keep your hips away. Only commit to heavy strikes when you know you've got Pantoja backed up. And just be aggressive like that. Just hold your ground all the time. Don't go up against the cage. The moment you step very close to the cage, Pantoja shooting on you and he's gonna keep you there. He's just gonna have to fight a very stubborn boxing fight. That's it. Pantoja, when he's boxing with you, Pantoja striking is primarily to actually get the takedown. It's like a bulldog. It just runs at you, collapses on you, takes you down, fucks you up right there. A little bit like Dricus du Plessis, if you will. Right? And then in terms of the striking, it's like good calf kicks, good inside low kicks, good jabs when you jab. When Pantoja notices that he can't box with you in terms of the speed, he will jab when you jab the whole time, noticing because he believes in his power and durability. Jabs and you jabs, and then overhand right when you overhand right. He just mimics you to the point where you realizing, oh fuck, I can't actually do this stuff to this guy. He's just gonna outland me by doing that every time. And that leads you to back up, and that's when he starts going forward. He does have a tendency to, Pantoja does have a bad tendency to walk forward while punching. So he'll walk forward like this, head down, and then shoot. He does that a lot. And I think when he does that kind of darting, and I think Brandon Moreno exposed this really well, when he does that kind of darting, you simply you don't back up. You just step to the left or step to your right. You choose your dominant side, you choose your weaker side. So for me, being a conventional based fighter, if Pantoja comes up to me like that, I won't back up essentially the whole time. He's going to shoot at me. What I'll do is, I'll do what Moreno does, keep that high guard up, and you just cut an angle. You just cut to the left, turn him around, throw a right hand, back up again. Or you just, the moment you go into a straight line, your opponent is just going to be able to take you down very easily. They're going to find where you go in. And then what happens is once you get back to the cage, if they're going to shoot on you, you're either going to take this takedown or you're going to have to choose a way to go, right? And I think the choosing a way to go, choosing an angle to leave to, will mitigate that threat of being taken down or a threat of taking a shot to the head. Keep your guard up, you cut an angle, you get out of there straight away. Joshua Van's going to have to fight that kind of fight style because Pantoja is going to be relentless. Now, Pantoja's being relentless is the kind of fight style that also, it's a double-edged sword because when Pantoja gets to the later rounds, he's got no stamina. His grit, his determination, his passion, his heart is what carried him through rounds 4 and 5 throughout his career. But you can visibly see in all those kind of fights that he had up until now, whenever he's gotten to round 4 and 5, which is, again, only the Morenos, only the Royvals, what's his name? Usyk took him there. Steve Usyk took him into those deep waters. And we noticeably saw that Pantoja doesn't have the power, the gas tank, or the pop in those later rounds. So there are ways to beat him there, but you have to get there first. Right? It's if you survive the first 15 minutes. If you can survive that first 15 minutes, which is a tall order, right? People can't seem to get around it. Then you have a chance. And Joshua Van does have a very good gas tank. He's actually very, very good at it. And one thing I do think that is going to carry him into this fight, a lot of people haven't been able to understand in the UFC fan base yet. He's from fucking Myanmar, guys. If you don't know anything about the Myanmar fighters, watch One Championship regularly. These Myanmar-based fighters are made out of kryptonite. Kryptonite, adamantium. They're made of adamantium. These guys are a different level, different breed of durability. They can take shots indefinitely. You can punch them in the face how many times. These guys will walk right through it. They barely get KO'd. They barely get knocked down. They walk through shots like it's easy. They barely bleed. And Joshua Van is of that nature, right? Because Royval was cracking him. And he just took those shots like a monster. Right. So yeah, that's one thing it'll give him a edge on this fight is that durability. It may also be at his detriment as well because he might be overconfident with that. Because Pantoja is also a very durable athlete. Barely gets knocked down either. Crazy fight, but I got Pantoja for the win. I think overall he's got more weapons. Overall, it's about what does Joshua Van do when he's taken down. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Pantoja is gonna get to the backpack. He's gonna put you in that position. What are you gonna do about it? Because nobody has been able to deal with it. Royval got out of it. Moreno got out of it, but they haven't won their fights against him. So it's like, what does Van do here? Apart from just being a superior boxer, what does he do to win this fight? Right? Because Pantoja doesn't just rely on that. Pantoja can beat you in every form possible. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. I've got Pantoja winning just because I think he's the superior athlete right now. I think in a couple of years' time, or maybe in a year's time, Van will definitely be up there and can fight for the title again. I think he's one of those guys that can definitely be a mainstay in the top one, top two. But in my opinion, he loses this fight, and then he has to go through the Brandons first. He has to go against the Tatsuyo Tigers. He has to go through those athletes first for me to then say he is going to be a mainstay in this division indefinitely. He's going to be fighting for titles, be a champion going forward from here. But I do think he's losing this fight against Pantoja. Give me your thoughts in the comment section, please. Let me know what you guys think while I keep moving to the next fight. Okay. Let's go. Staying with the flyweight division. We have basically number one contenders matchup going on here between Brandon Moreno taking on Tatsuro Taira. This is a big fight. Let me give you some numbers. Brandon Moreno is 31 years old. He's currently ranked number 2 in the flyweight division. His record is 23 wins, 8 losses, 2 no contests. He's got 5 wins by KO, 11 wins by sub, 8 first round finishes, 3 fight winning streak, beating Steve Usyk in unanimous decision in his last fight. Absolute clinic of a performance from Brandon Moreno. And also former champion. Tatsuro Taira is 25 years old, ranked number 5 in the flyweight division. His record is 17 wins, 1 loss came up against Brandon Royval. 5 wins by KO, 8 wins by sub, 8 first round finishes. He beat Yoon Song Park by second round sub in his last fight. So, like Joshua Van, in my opinion, Tatsuro Taira, if he had beaten Brandon Royval, he would be fighting Pantoja now, and Van would be fighting against Moreno. That's what we would have had. But Tatsuro Taira lost against Royval. Van beat Royval. And that's why we have this fight now. And I think it's a perfect matchup. I think it's the right matchup to make as well, considering when we move in the landscape of that flyweight division. Who I think is going to win? Let's break down the reasons here and why. So Tatsuro Taira, good fighter. Actually exceptional athlete. Ends at the Alpha Male training camp. Beautiful wrestling, dominant, powerful, composed wrestling, like the Japanese wrestlers are. Good jiu-jitsu as well, but a little bit better, right? Because he's training long now with Uriah Faber, and you can see it paying off in his career. On top of that, he's also leveled up his striking. His boxing has turned into be something really good to watch. Not the elite level where he wanted to be, because you could see he got exposed against Brandon Royval there, where his boxing is not where he wants it to be. But for the most part, it's a very high level fight. I think you put Tatsuro Taira against Albazi, I think he beats Albazi. That's how good I think Tatsuro Taira really is. And that could be a little bit inflated because I'm a big fan of Japanese fighting styles. But breaking it down by watching him fight, I'm like, nah, that's Tatsuro Taira. He's actually a top class dude. And also like Joshua Van, 25 years old, 24 years old, young. You know what I mean? These are the new guys. When Moreno, he's 32 years old, 31 years old now. I can still see Moreno and Royval, Steve Erzik. I can see these guys still going on for another 5 to 6 years, right? But at that point, Tatsuro Taira and Van will be in their 30s or will be 30 years old. And then they will be at that level of claiming titles. I think Tatsuro in this fight needs to fight a high wrestling based fight, get scrambles, look for submissions, just make it like that kind of fight, ruling exercise, a little bit of the combat sambo, if you will, to kind of upset Brandon Moreno. If you think about how he's lost in the fights, it's usually when he lost to Brandon Royval and he lost to Pantoja, it's because they out volumed him, they out dogged him. You know, they put him in positions where he has to defend a lot, whether it's takedowns or grappling, or lots of striking. They just out volumed him, right? Which is a mad thing to say because Brandon Moreno is probably the sharpest boxer in the division, right? But they put that kind of pressure on him, and that's how they beat him. I think that Taira is going to have to do the exact same thing. Now, do I think he can do it? Not so much. It's not his style, right? Taira is a little bit more of a methodical, slow-paced athlete. Doesn't just go pedal to the middle and just go. He's more of a, he chooses when he wants to finish the fights, boxes really safely in the first couple of rounds, and then he picks up the pace midway through round 2, going into round 3. Then he starts looking for aggression, and he starts looking for hard takedowns and down and pound and submissions. That's his game. I think the only way I see him winning this fight is high volume, high pressure, lots of pace. I don't know if he can do that to someone like Brandon Moreno, who's also just too experienced, fought against the best guys, been in wars against Pantoja, fought him 3 times, fought together 4 times, fought Royval twice. He's been in wars with the best guys. You know what I mean? That's why I think Moreno is going to win this fight, because I feel like Moreno's takedown defense is second to none. His scrambling his ability is very high. Like, he scrambles extremely well. He can also take you down if he wants to. He's got fantastic wrestling, which is what his base was to begin with. And then he got his Mexican boxing, which I think is sharper than most guys in the division outside of like maybe Royval. He's got sharp boxing. So I think Moreno edges this fight in all avenues, right? And that's why I can't give Tatsuro the win, just because I think he's going to be outgunned here, right? He's going to be outgunned, outshined. Moreno is too slick, he's too cerebral when he fights. And I think you can clearly see the performance against Steve Erzik was like, I want my title back. I want my title back. You can see the look in his eyes. You can see the way he fought that fight. It's like, I'm going to make sure that if it goes to decision, there's absolutely no way the judges are going to give a round to my opponent, let alone the fight. I'm giving you 0 rounds to win. And that's a big thing. And that was a 5-round fight against Steven Erzik as well. So I like where Brandon Moreno is at, but I also think that's Tatsuro Taira. I would consider him a championship level fighter. Maybe in a year's time. Let's see how the other year goes. Look, if he beats Moreno here, there you go. But I can only really see him becoming at that level after this kind of fight. You know what I mean? Because then he's gone through both Brandons. Now it's like, okay, you know what it feels like to fight against the second best of the division. Now I can go and take on someone like Pantoja. Maybe call out the loser of Pantoja and Joshua Van. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Give me your thoughts. Give me your opinions. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I'm going to keep it moving to the next fight. I got Brandon Moreno. Let's go. Okay. Up next, we have Henry Cejudo. Just kidding. Henry Cejudo taking on the upcoming, I don't want to say upcoming because he's 27 years old now, Peyton Talbot. And this is going to be a good fight for the bantamweight division. So Henry Cejudo is currently ranked number 10. He's 38 years old. His record is 16 wins, 5 losses. You know, on this, surprisingly, very underwhelming. Right? Because Triple C, I watched Triple C on the come up. I've watched him take on Mighty Mouse. I've watched him take on Dominic Cruz, TJ Dillashaw. I watched him become Triple C. Right? And then when I was putting my notes together, I was like, yo, 16 wins, 5 losses. I don't know why I felt like he had so much more fights than that. So many more fights than that. And I think that's probably because Triple C was really a big marketing tool. Like, he knew how to market himself so well that you believe that he was like a 30-win streak or 30 wins, 5 losses. Right? He's in that category of fighters. Then I see the record, I'm like 16 wins, 5 losses, which is still pretty good. but for the level of how we talk about Triple C and where we put him into the game, and like in terms of like Mount Rushmore situations and coach conversations, you're like expected a bit more of a bigger career than that. But anyway, there's totally no shade on the guy. He's still Triple C. No one can take that away from him. You know what I mean? He's still the guy that did all of it. But anyway, he's got 8 wins by KO, 5 first round finishes, and he lost to Song Yadong by unanimous. Let's just call it what they. From my opinion, it should have been a no contest, but I get the rules. They went into a full round, second round. Like we see the all buzz decision win. All right, Peyton Talbot, 27 years old, so no longer a young up and coming prospect. He's now been in the UFC. Record is 10 wins, 1 loss in a no contest, 7 wins by KO, 1 win by sub, 1 first round finishes, beat Felipe Lima by unanimous decision in his last fight. This is a tricky fight. At first glance, I was like, I've got Henry. I think he's too experienced. I think he's got a lot of wrestling. And if Peyton Talbot had a difficult time with Raoni Porsalos, he'll definitely struggle with Triple C. Now, I had difficulty choosing this one. Really difficult to choose in this one because of what I just said now. When I think about where Peyton Talbot fought against Porsalos, I was like, that's underwhelming. He couldn't deal with the grappling. He couldn't deal with extensive chain wrestling. He just had a difficult time with it. And Cejudo will do exactly that. And Cejudo is a far more elite grappler than Raoni Porsalos. Far, far more elite than that. Right? I think that experience from Henry will be a trouble thing for Talbot, especially because of the game plan that Henry can put on him. Right? However, Henry is 38 years old, and this is what made it difficult for me to pick this. He's 38 years old. He is of the smaller bantamweights. He's undersized in this division, even though he was the bantamweight champion. He's not necessarily the biggest bantamweight. Right? He is undersized. And not only that, Peyton Talbot, for me, is more athletic. Not because Henry isn't athletic, but because Henry's 38 years old. That his athleticism is not at the same level where it was when he was 27, or even 30 years old. Right? Talbot, if you look at the fight against Felipe Lima, one thing I noticed in that fight, he definitely learned his lessons against Raoni Porsalos. He didn't allow any takedowns from Felipe Lima. And Lima wanted to take him down a lot in that fight. He did a lot of scrambles. He's got so much athleticism that he was able to get out of those grappling situations so fast, get out of it. He's tall for the division. He towers over Henry Cejudo by a good number. I just wonder how Henry's going to get to that position to take him down so often, especially because Talbot doesn't have to do much to stay out of range of takedowns. Also can piece him up on the outside, and Talbot's got beautiful striking. I can see this fight going. Henry Cejudo winning all 3 rounds, lots of extensive grappling, keeping Talbot on the ground, control time, ground and pound, maybe even submitting him. And then Peyton Talbot on the end being explosive enough, vibrant and young enough with energy to not be taken down for too long, don't get controlled enough time, countering the positions, looking for staggering and powerful shots to stop the takedowns, maybe even KO in Cejudo, which we don't really see. I don't think we ever seen that, right? But I think he can definitely beat Cejudo by piecing him up on the outside, avoiding all the takedowns, having really good takedown defense, and putting the hurt on Cejudo. I think if Talbot attacks the body a lot, maybe throwing some jumping knees or flying knees in there, lots of uppercuts, lots of mid-range weapons, push kicks, up kicks, lateral movements, right? Because then he's small, so it's going to be hard for him to hit down and get the target as opposed to hitting straight ahead or even slightly up. Hitting down is a little bit trickier, right? Because you're going to commit to a way, if you're committing to a right hand or a straight going an opponent that's shorter than you, you're overextending. And if they just step off to the left, single leg, you're on the ground. They got you back on the ground. Easy. Right? And that's where I think Henry can take him down a lot of the times. And then we're probably going to see it a lot of the times. But I also feel that Talbot will be explosive enough, energy enough, strong enough, full enough to be able to actually power out of those positions, like get up from them. And that's what made this fight like, I don't know who to choose. Because in my picks, I went with Peyton. Right? Purely because I don't know if Henry still got the stuff. Being 38 years old, right? The fight against Song Yadong. Song Yadong is also a high-level fighter, also primarily a boxing heavy fighter. A lot of takedown defense on him as well, and he was able to actually piece up Cejudo. I know there was an eye poke, but before the eye poke, he was actually putting on some damage on some Cejudo. I think Peyton Talbot's also a fantastic striker and taller than Song Yadong. which poses a little bit more threats. Tricky fight, tricky fight. I went with Peyton Talbot. I'm gonna probably stick with Peyton Talbot, but yeah, it's either gonna be whoa. It's either gonna be. Why did I type in this guy's details? It's either gonna be Denis Cejudo's schooling, or it's gonna be Peyton Talbot wins on decision by surviving a fight and maybe even backing up Denis Cejudo for 2 rounds and putting the hurt on him as well. Or we could see Cejudo get finished for the first time since Mighty Mouse need him in the chest. This could be one of those fights where he actually gets finished. Let's see. It's a very tricky fight for me, honestly. The more and more I break it down, there's more and more I can't actually pick a winner there. But let's stick with what I did with what I picked initially, Peyton Talbot, purely based on being a younger, more vibrant fighter, more to gain than he is to lose. Against Cejudo, there's nothing to gain, nothing to lose for him in this fight. I don't know why he's even coming back to prove what exactly. I already fucking schooled him. So it's like, there's nothing for him to gain in this fight, whether he wins or loses. But give me your thoughts in the chat about this one, please, ladies and gentlemen. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's keep moving. Okay, this is where I'll pick up the pace a little bit now. There's a lot of fights to get through. Jan Blachowicz taking on Bogdan Guskov. Now, I don't know why I didn't fucking get Bogdan's stats, but let's just put it for you quickly on screen. I don't know why I didn't type it in. But Bogdan, I think he's what? How old is this guy? 33. Still young. Very young guy. 33 years old. He's ranked number 11 light heavyweight division, as you can see on screen. He's got 18 wins, 3 losses, no contest, 15 wins by KO, 3 wins by sub, 13 first round finishes, and he beat my guy Nikita Krylov by first round KO in his last fight. Devastating KO, by the way. Jan Blachowicz, on the other hand, he's 42 years old, ranked number 5 in light heavyweight division. His record is 29 wins, 11 losses, 1 no contest, 9 wins by KO, 9 wins by sub, 7 first round finishes. He lost to Carlos Uber by unanimous decision in his last fight. So what do we have here? We have the old guard versus the relatively new guard. Who's gonna win? I'm gonna go with Bogdan Guskov. I think the reason why he wins is because he's a devastating striker, powerful boxing, aggressive, taller fighter, gets on the front foot from the get-go, doesn't waste any time, sharp boxing. I haven't seen what his grappling is like before, but let's be real. Nobody grapples in this fucking division. When it comes to the top, the higher echelon of the division, people just don't want to grapple. Everyone wants to KO everybody. So he has the advantages there in terms of the boxing, in my opinion. If this was like a 38-year-old, 35, 36-year-old Jan Blachowicz, I would have said, okay, this is not going to be an easy fight for Bogdan. But because Jan is 42 years old, and you think about how he fought against Carlos Ulberg, tentative, outside of the range, wasn't aggressive, had to survive the fight, had to and be patient in every round, had to finish the fight basically. And I say finish, I don't mean finish as in like getting a KO or sub. I mean finish the fight, like go all the way, go all the rounds safely. I feel like once you get to that age of your career, like when you're 40 years old, 41 years old, I think the priority to survive 3 rounds or go all 3 rounds or all 5 rounds is more of a priority than actually KOing somebody. Because you're older, you don't want to take any more damage, you fight differently. You know what I mean? Being able to actually go for 15 minutes or 25 minutes is more of a win than is like getting the title at that stage of your career. Because let's be honest, Jan already had the title, right? So he also doesn't have to prove much anymore at that age. He doesn't have to be doing this at 42 years old. He can chill at this point. Open up a gym, become a coach. You know what I'm saying? But I've got Bogdan for the win. I think Bogdan's going to probably finish Jan Blachowicz in this fight. Probably get a first or second round KO. If the fight goes on longer, I expect Jan to use the experience. Lots of good car kicks and weapons, but he just doesn't have the same movement. Isn't there? He just doesn't fight the same way anymore. And I don't know if he's got that killer instinct in him like he did early on in his career when he was coming up for the title. I've got Bogdan for the win. I don't know if you guys have a different opinion, but I think Bogdan gets the job done here. Your thoughts in the comments, please chat while I keep moving. Okay, this is actually probably going to be one of the fights of the night. This is, I'm sure this is going to be a banger for the fans. We have lightweight bout between Grant Dawson taking on Manuel Aloco Torres. This is going to be a fun fight. Grant Dawson is 31 years old. He's ranked number 13 in the lightweight division. His record currently stands at 23 wins, 2 losses, 1 no contest. He's got 5 wins by KO, 13 wins by sub, 7 first round finishes, 3-fight win streak, beating Diego Ferreira by unanimous decision in his last fight. Manuel Torres, 30 years old. His record is 16 wins, 3 losses, 0 no contest, 8 wins by KO, 7 wins by sub, 15 first round finishes, and he beat Drew Dober by first round KO in his last fight. So what are we going to get here? A brawl, rock'em sock'em, aggressiveness, high pace kind of fight. Grant Dawson is on a good come up at the moment. I like where his career's trajectory is going. He's taken on a good name, a good test for him. Manuel Torres. Now it is a little bit, you would argue, a fight back for Grant Dawson, considering that he's ranked number 13 and Torres is not ranked at the moment. But Aloco is this kind of fighter for me that he's like 1 or 2 wins away from becoming a priority for Dana White, because the fans love him. He's a fun dude to talk. People talk to him. He's got a vibe on the microphone. He's just a fun character, and he puts on exciting fights. Right? He's either getting KO'd or he's knocking people out, and most times he's knocking people out. He's got sharp boxing. Now I think he's the better boxer between the two guys. I think Grant Dawson is a little bit underwhelming when it comes to the boxing side of things, even though Dawson has got KOs and he's a good fighter. But in comparison between these two guys, Torres is a sharper boxer. Now Torres does have a habit of lunging in with that left hook. I've noticed a few times, and he lets that chin stay there. Right? Dawson can catch that. He can time that and maybe even shoot for a takedown. So I think Dawson has got the better grappling. Overall MMA fight style, Dawson for me is the better fighter. I think he's got sharper weapons everywhere. I think he's the better, not necessarily boxing wise, but in terms of like MMA striking, MMA grappling, I think he beats Aloco there. Aloco is just a very fundamentalist, powerful, accurate boxer. He's very good at it, and people struggle with it. But you can take him down, right? He'll probably scramble with you a little bit, but you can take him down. You can submit him. You can control him there. He's not the greatest grappler on the ground. He doesn't have good transitioning. His defense is not the greatest. Like I said, it's either aggressive scrambling or aggressive sprawling. Wizards, because he wants to stay on his feet. He wants to box with you. That's what Manuel Torres is going to want to do. That's his style. I think Grant Dawson needs to be relentless with the grappling in this fight. If he keeps the fight boxing all the time, right, he's given Torres too much of a chance to beat him. Personally, he's given him too much chance to beat him. But if Grant Dawson fights an MMA fight, pardon me, whether that's clinching, grappling, going up against the cage, moments like that, he will keep bagging points. He'll keep bagging the rounds on Aloco and take away the opportunities for Aloco to KO him. Crazy fight. It's a big step up for Manuel Torres, because a win over Grant Dawson will probably put him in the rank top 15. He might even get number 15 spot. If he beats Grant Dawson. For Grant Dawson, if he gets the job done here, it's also a big jump for him, which is a division that's already just crazy stacked right now. At least if he wins this kind of fight, it will add him into the conversation. Let's put it that way. It will add him into the conversation. You could look at someone like a Manny Moicano, you know what I mean? You could look at the Viziev going forward if he wins a fight like this. Whereas Manuel Torres, if he wins the fight, he just enters the game. He finally gets a number next to his name. Not number 13, probably number 15. But give me your thoughts in the comments chat. I'm picking Manuel Torres, even though I think Grant Dawson has got more weapons to win the fight. I think Grant Dawson is a bit chinny. And I think Manuel Torres is also a little bit chinny, but Manuel Torres fights such an aggressive boxing fight style. It's going to force Grant Dawson to react to it, right? And that's when I think it's like, if he doesn't choose to grapple in those moments, he's probably going to get KO'd. I've got Manuel Torres for the fight. I think he's going to make this fight just an all-out brawl. And Grant Dawson is going to unfortunately, get drawn into that kind of performance, which is going to favor Manuel Torres. But if you've got a different opinion, please let me know in the comment section. Or if you agree, let me know in the comment section. Just looking at my picks here, I went with Torres. I'm going to revisit all these picks when I come to the end of the episode. Don't worry, but let's keep it moving for now. When last do you see a person go through all the fights on the UFC fight card, guys? That just tells you how incredible this fight card actually is for the UFC. We have lightweight bout between Terence McKinney taking on Chris Leroy Duncan. Okay, it's just Chris Duncan. And this is going to be a fun one. Terence McKinney is 30 years old. His record is 17 wins, 7 losses, 0 no contests. He's got 8 wins by KO, 9 wins by sub, 16 first round finishes. That's absolutely insane. He beat Vyacheslav Borshev by first round sub in his last fight. Chris Duncan is 32 years old. His record is 14 wins, 2 losses, 0 no contest, 7 wins, 2 losses. No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. You've got more losses than that. It says 2 losses there, but it's on a losing streak. 3-fight losing streak. Look there. Loss. No, that's 3-fight winning streak. Sorry. I don't know why. I like that. Sorry, that's my bad. That's my bad. 2-fight losing streak, 7 fights, 7 wins by KO, 3 wins by sub, 5 first round finishes, 3-fight winning streak. He beat Rebecca by unanimous decision in his last fight. Big step up for Chris Duncan. Terence McKinney is a really talented fighter. He's just a well-rounded athlete. He's boxing, he's striking, he's on some serious levels. Sometimes he's in his head a lot of the time, and he doesn't really, perform the way he would like to. You could also argue that the division of the lightweight division right now is so stacked that it's difficult for him to actually climb that rankings. And the same can be said for Chris Duncan, who I've actually watched in The Ultimate Fighter. Who's gonna win here? I've got McKinney. I think he's got the knockout power. I think he's got the more textbook striking and wrestling. He's more of a jiu-jitsu guy as well on the ground over Duncan. Duncan's more of a wrestling ground and pound kind of guy. But I say it lightly for McKinney because Chris Duncan can really put the style on him that he will hate. That's like the high pressure, back you up, put you up against the cage, clinch with you, strike with you, break away from the clinch, strike. Just stay on you like a wet blanket without having to take you down. And that's the kind of style that McKinney doesn't do well against. I've seen him get tired when someone fights him like that. And that's why I say it so lightly. But I'm going to go with McKinney anyway. I think McKinney should get the job done. I think he's like overall the better athlete. But Duncan, he's got that dog in him, and he fights the kind of way that it's like it's just a street fight, man. He's just gonna stay in your face the whole time and make it an ugly fight. He doesn't like pretty fights. He likes the kind of fights where there's no time and space to even think about relaxing. It's just we're gonna go 100 mile an hour. No one's slowing down. The one who cracks first loses. That's how he fights, and I think that's the kind of style that McKinney is not gonna enjoy. Granted that Chris Duncan can get KO'd with that fight style against someone like Terence McKinney. But McKinney has to be confident. He has to keep his head in the game. He has to fight with someone that's sharp and has got the undefeatable mindset. Because the moment he invites doubts in his head, and I've seen this before, when he invites the doubt in his head, people beat him. They beat him easy. You know, he's up fights in ways, and you're like, oh, how did he lose that fight? How did he go and lose that one? Like you are for sure locked. How did he lose that fight? Anyway, let's see what happens this weekend. It's going to be a banger. I've got Terence McKinney for the win. Let's move to the next one. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this fight is because it's a ranked fight. This is potential opportunity to make a name for a title opportunity, or at least number one contender's opportunity. But the reason why I'm not too hyped on the fight is because both these fighters have had moments in their careers recently of not being able to make weight, and it's been unsuccessful with it a few times. That's making me uncomfortable with this matchup. Macy Barber, 27 years old, ranked number 5 in the women's flyweight division. The record is 14 wins, 2 losses in the contest, 6-fight win streak. Which is mad because she hasn't been able to make fights over the last couple of years. 6 wins by KO, 2 wins by sub. Karine Silva is 31 years old, ranked number 9 in the flyweight division, women's flyweight division, excuse me. Her record is 19 wins, 5 losses in no contest, 9 wins by KO, 8 wins by sub, 13 first round finishes, 2-fight win streak, beating Dione Barboza by unanimous decision. Now the records look amazing, but like let's just get the facts straight here. These last couple of months, or excuse me, years, say a year and a half or so, both these women haven't been able to make weight. They've been unsuccessful with it. Bad weight cuts, underperforming, just underwhelming performances. Now I know Karine Silva has got back into a 2-fight win streak, right? But pardon me, Dione Barboza. Let's be honest. Who is that? You rank number 9 and you fight in a complete newbie to the game. It's like, come on, you know what I mean? And Macy Barber was supposed to fight against my mom's, my girl, Erin Blanchfield, and then couldn't make the weight, and then got pulled out again, and now she's back again. Hopefully that she makes weight. Hopefully Kyrene makes weight, and then can put on a good stellar performance. If both of them make weight and the fight goes on, I got Macy Barber for the win. I think Macy Barber is a fireball in the ring, in the octagon. When she's on game and she's on fire, she's unstoppable. She's got a straight train kind of performance. Just goes straight at you. Aggression of aggression of aggression. She can take you down and kind of pound you, submit you. She can KO you. She's got 6 wins by KO, by the way. So she's a beast. She's an absolute beast, but she has to first beat the scale. Karin Silva, same thing. Fantastic striking, beautiful jiu-jitsu, black belt, great judo as well. But she has to beat the scale first. That's the biggest thing for me. Beat the scale first. Then we can talk about the fights. So that's I'll leave it at that for that one. The rest of the fight cards pretty stacked as well. Nazim Sadikov taking on Faraz Saim. This is going to be a banger. I think Nazim Sadikov is slightly better. I know Faraz Saim's got a bit more experience in the UFC. He's also a good, fascinating striker as well. Long range weapons, Spider-Man kind of fight style. But Sadikov, I watched his last couple of fights and I was like, this dude can box really well. He's sharp. He's accurate. He's got good painting. He's just a very good fighter overall. I don't know what it's like on the ground. We'll have to see, but I don't think either guy's shooting in this fight. I think it's going to be a stand-up fight for sure, and I favor Sadikov for the win there. Give me your thoughts, chat. Prelims, early prelims, win-loss. How mad did we have a number 14 ranked middleweight fighter fighting on the early prelims, guys? That is insane. Marvin Vettori taking on Bruno Vieira. This is going to be a fun fight to watch. This is going to be a all-out boxing warfare. Someone's going to sleep here. I know we don't ever see Marvin Vettori getting KO'd, but he has been chinny of late. People have been able to tag him a lot. I mean, Brennan Allen, who's not even like an elite striker, pieced him up, right? And I'm not throwing shade on Brennan Allen either. And Brennan Allen's a very good fighter. He beat RD Ard in very good fashion as well. Bruno Pereira, on the other hand, is also very good striker, knockout power. Not like elite of the elite, but in a fight style where he's not going to be taken down by Vettori. Vettori's going to obviously box with him, a lot of 1-2s, 1-2, jab, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. That's how Vettori fights. That's what he's going to do all the time. It's gonna make a fight for Pereira, and Pereira can KO him. He really can. He can crack Vettori because he's got more powerful punching. But Pereira does get tired. Vettori can fight 20 rounds if he has to. That's just how he is. And I feel like if Pereira doesn't get the KO in the first round, Vettori beats him round 2 and round 3. So I got Vettori for the win there. I think he's too experienced, too high level, fought against the best guys. He's got the best chin in the game. Doesn't get KO'd. Does wear the damage pretty badly. Pereira, you can KO Pereira. He does get tired. You put him away in the later rounds. So yeah, I know some people. I was watching MMA Guru preview on this fight, and he had Pereira for the win by KO. And I heard some of what he said, and I was like, there is some truth to it, but I won't bet on that. I get it, makes sense, but I don't think I'd bet on that. So I just went, nah. I got Vettori. I think the experience is and the volume is gonna get him through this win. Itzem Barboza taking on Jalen Turner, lightweight bout. Jalen Turner makes his return to the UFC after retiring early in the year, or was it last year? He announced his retirement after losing to Bahamundes. He's back now, and I think he's gonna win the fight. I think it's a bit of a layup for him. If you think about it, Barboza isn't the same Barboza he was in the past. He's a shadow version of himself right now. I mean, the man's basically, 40 years old or something like that. So it's like, he doesn't have the same stuff in him anymore. The juice isn't there. Pop isn't there. It's a heavier weight class. He went from fighting bantamweight to featherweight to lightweight. It's like he's never really been able to, he went from lightweight down to featherweight, back to lightweight. So it's like, his career is not where he wants it to be. And I think Jalen Turner coming back will be able to piece out Barboza, maybe even get the finish. I think he will probably get the finish in this fight. Barboza's not going to shoot on him. I think that's going to favor Jalen Turner with the long-range weapons. Good to see him back. Well done, Jalen Turner. I'm going to skip that one. I don't know who Iwo and Ibo is. I think I watched Ibo fight once. Not that impressive, so I'll skip that one. Mansour Abdul Malik taking on Antonio Tracoli. This is a layup for Mansour Abdul Malik, in my opinion. I think he's going to KO Tracoli. And then we're going to see him make a big statement for calling out some of the big names in the division. big ranking name because let's be honest, every time I've watched Mansoor Abdul Malik fight, he's been fighting against guys that he's expected to win every single time, and he has been beating them. Right, can only beat who they put in front of you, but it has been favorable matchups for him. He hasn't been tested. I think this is going to be a fight where he still won't be tested and he gets the job done here. And yeah, we've seen progress. Maybe he can get what's his name, Atiba Gutier. Even Abdul Malik should be fighting each other next. And then finally, opening fight, we have Muhammad Naimov taking on Myron Santos. Don't like Naimov. I think he's a bit of a boring fighter. Fights very safe every single time. Doesn't go for finishes. Myron Santos, aggressive. He's probably going to get taken down in this fight a few times. But if he defends really well, I think Myron Santos has got better boxing. He's more powerful, more devastating. I've watched him in Ultimate Fighter. I'm a fan. I think he's a good fighter. I think he's fighting featherweight now, which means he came down. He was featherweight the whole time. Fought lightweight because the weight cuts were too bad. Came down to featherweight again. Amped for him. Big record. Only one loss. Let's go, Myron Santos. Let's get the win. But okay, chat, that is my time, or at least that's my preview and predictions for the fight card. If you have watched so far, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, and subscribe. Let me talk about some of my picks. So this right here is the parlay. No, I don't need to do that. This is the parlay. Why is this thing doing this? Well, the timer's on it. So I'm just taking this timer off. And this one as well. Don't need that. Okay, so parlay. This is my safe betting. I don't see this fight going any other way. Merab beating Petr again. Pantoja beating Joshua Van. Moreno beating Tatsuyo Taira. And Abdul Malik beating Tracoli. I don't see the fights going any other way. So that's my for sure that I'm willing to put the money down on. So hopefully Eddie can lock those bets in for us this weekend. And then this is my full card picks. I'm not willing to put money down on them, but if I must choose who's going to win, this is what I'm choosing. As of course, you guys can see Merab, Pantoja, Moreno, Albert, Guskov, Torres, McKinney, Stedikov, Tori, Turner, Malik, and Santos. I didn't put the ladies' fights down there because I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure the fight's even going to go through. So I didn't put it down there. I didn't choose the Ibo Aslan fight either because I don't know anything about these two fighters. These are the ones I'm actually going. These are the ones that I'm going to give you some kind of tips on. But my for sure picks are the lay. And that's what it looks like right there on screen. Merab, Pantoja, Moreno, Malik. Let me know what you guys think. Give me your picks. Give me your thoughts in the comment section, please, ladies and gentlemen. That is my time. If I made it this far, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. What else you can expect for the remainder of the week? We have One Friday Fights 135, 136 is previews coming out tomorrow. Then we will be live for the One Friday Fights 136 on Friday. Saturday, Eddie's going to be live with you guys for One Fight Night 38, and then Sunday we will also be live with you guys for UFC 323. So on that note, from myself and the Fighting with Friends team, have yourself a fantastic week further, and I will catch you on the next one, everybody. Cheers.